The glass cupboard. There was once a cupboard that was made entirely of glass, so you could see right into it and right through it. Now, although this cupboard always appeared to be empty, you could always take out whatever you wanted. If you wanted a cool drink, for example, you just opened the cupboard and took one out. Or, if you wanted a new pair of shoes, you could always take a pair out of the glass cupboard. Even if you wanted a bag of gold, you just opened up the glass cupboard and took out a bag of gold. The only thing you had to remember was that whenever you took something out of the glass cupboard, you had to put something else back in, although nobody quite knew why. Naturally, such a valuable thing as the glass cupboard belonged to a rich and powerful king. One day the king had to go on a long journey, and while he was gone some thieves broke into the palace and stole the glass cupboard. "Now we can have anything we want," they said. One of the robbers said, "I want a large bag of gold." And he opened up the glass cupboard and took out a large bag of gold. Then the second robber said, "I want 2 large bags of gold." And he opened up the glass cupboard and took out 2 large bags of gold. Then the chief of the robbers said, "I want 3 of the biggest bags of gold you've ever seen." And he opened the glass cupboard and took out 3 of the biggest bags of gold you've ever seen. "Hooray!" they said. "Now we can take out as much gold as we like." Well, those 3 robbers stayed up the whole night, taking bag after bag of gold out of the glass cupboard, but not one of them put anything back in. In the morning the chief of the robbers said, "Soon we shall be the richest 3 men in the world. But let us go to sleep now, and we can take out more gold tonight." So they lay down to sleep, but the first robber could not sleep. He kept thinking, "If I went to the glass cupboard just once more, I'd be even richer than I am now." So he got up and went to the cupboard and took out yet another bag of gold, and then went back to bed. And the second robber could not sleep either. He kept thinking, "If I went to the glass cupboard and took out 2 more bags of gold, I'd be even richer than the others." So he got up and went to the cupboard and took out 2 more bags of gold, and then went back to bed. Meanwhile, the chief of the robbers could not sleep either. He kept thinking, "If I went to the glass cupboard and took out 3 more bags of gold, I'd be the richest of all." So he got up, went to the glass cupboard, and took out 3 more bags of gold, and then went back to bed. And then the first robber said to himself, "What am I doing, lying here sleeping when I could be getting richer?" So he got up and started taking more and more bags of gold out of the cupboard. The second robber heard him and thought, "What am I doing lying here sleeping when he's getting richer than me?" So he got up and joined his companion. And then the chief of the robbers got up too. "I can't lie here sleeping," he said, "while the other 2 are both getting richer than me." So he got up, and soon all 3 were hard at it, taking more and more bags of gold out of the cupboard. And all that day and all that night not one of them dared to stop for fear that one of his companions would get richer than him. And they carried on all the next day and all the next night, and they didn't stop to rest, and they didn't stop to eat, and they didn't stop even to drink. They kept taking out those bags of gold faster and faster and more, until at length they grew faint with lack of sleep and food and drink, but still they did not dare to stop. All that week and all the next week and all that month and all that winter they kept at it, until the chief of the robbers could bear it no longer, and he picked up a hammer and smashed the glass cupboard into 1,000,000 pieces, and they all 3 gave a great cry and fell down dead on top of the huge mountain of gold they had taken out of the glass cupboard. Some time later the king returned home, and his servants threw themselves on their knees before him and said, "Forgive us, your majesty, but 3 wicked robbers have stolen the glass cupboard." The king ordered his servants to search the length and breadth of the land. When they found what was left of the glass cupboard and the 3 robbers lying dead, they filled 60 great carts with all the gold and took it back to the king. And when the king heard that the glass cupboard was smashed into 1,000,000 pieces, and that the thieves were dead, he shook his head and said, "If those thieves had always put something back into the cupboard for every bag of gold they had taken out, they would be alive to this day." And he ordered his servants to collect all the pieces of the glass cupboard, and to melt them down, and to make them into a globe with all the countries of the world upon it, to remind himself and others that the earth is as fragile as that glass cupboard.